everybody. This is Patti. Welcome to the Witching Hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. We have some beautiful magic for you today. I met her recently in New Orleans at an event called Hex Fest. Fell in love with her immediately. She's an author of many books. She is a musician. She is Judy Ann Nock. Welcome, Judy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Patti. I am such a huge fan of yours. It was an absolute thrill to connect with you at Hex Fest in New Orleans this year. And I am so excited to be on your show, The Witching Hour.
Thank you. So tell us a little, you have several books, very, very witchy books on witchcraft and things. So tell us a little bit your story. How did you get here, your path?
I would love to talk about my path. Thank you so much for that question. So the way the books came about was very, very much a magical process. I started publishing back in 2005, and this was after I had been a practicing witch for probably at that point, I want to say about 15 years or more. And I had a friend who was writing in the health sector. She had a meeting with her agent and said if she knew anyone that could write for like the witchcraft market, she could probably keep them busy for the next 10 years. So my friend called me like, Judy Ann, you have to get a proposal to me as soon as possible. And I had never like really written anything longer than a college term paper in my life. Wow. So one of the practices in my coven work was, though, keeping a book of shadows. So after every ritual, we would kind of have a debrief. We would pass these journals around and we would talk about like what came up for us during the meditation, the seasonal influences, anything that was going on like astrologically or emotionally with us. And so I thought, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to share, like how to create your own book of shadows? So I wrote a little kind of a proposal for a Witches Grimoire. I had gotten some notoriety in New York City by that time. So I had a few little press clippings and I put it together with a little table of contents. Now, it was impossible for me to know that the publisher the agent submitted it to already had a requisition order in their queue for a Grimoire Book of Shadows. So here, my proposal matched perfectly. So I actually sold my first book before I had even written it.
Wow.
They came back to me and said, yes, we want it. You have 90 days to deliver a completed manuscript.
90 days?
90 days. Now, I will say that came about at a very, very intense time of my life. My husband had fallen very, very seriously ill, and I was pregnant. So the Witches Grimoire literally saved me from what could have quite possibly been homelessness in New York City in the middle of winter. Wow. So I had a source of income. So you will never, ever convince me that magic isn't real. So that's how I started, was with intense pressure, crazy deadlines, pure magic. And it's been an absolute thrill ride ever since. So I followed up the Witches Grimoire with another book on seasonal celebrations, Wheel of the Year. And then for about 10 years, I wasn't very popular, didn't do much publishing. And my little imprint called Providence Press kind of went out of business. It got bought by F&W, which was a magazine publisher, which then got bought by Adams Media, which then got absorbed into Simon & Schuster. And then one day, 2017, I got a call out of the blue that someone had gotten their hands on like my backlist and wanted to re-release. And I was like, fabulous. That sounds great. So I think when they were looking through my early work, they were like, yeah, you know, this stuff isn't bad. Would you like to do a new title? And I said, absolutely, yes. So that was how I got into this series, writing on magical witchcraft. And so it was a re-release of something I had already done, which started the Wheel of the Year. And then I followed that up with Natural Magic. Then after Natural Magic came Magical Herbs, which is probably the book that I am best known for. Magical Herbs was followed by Runes, which was followed by Crystal Magic, which was followed by a box set. So I am enjoying this moment, understanding that with the ebb and flow, it isn't going to last, but I'm going to enjoy every moment before I spend my next 10 years not being popular. Like, Like
But you
happened
don't know
before.
that that's gonna happen either. You
No, I
know.
don't know. I don't know. And it's really interesting though, because when the book on natural magic came out, I had really intended to write it for someone like me, like an experienced priestess who had maybe, done the Wheel of the Year, hundreds of times, not hundreds, but like tens of times. Not that old, tens of times, not hundreds yet, not yet. And so it's really a very like intermediate to advanced level book on magic. And so what happened was it sailed over a lot of people's heads.
Mm.
And I still consider it possibly, if not my best work, then one of my best works. It's definitely in my top 2. And it wasn't very successful in terms of, it wasn't well received, and it sold respectfully. And I'm very, very blessed by my readers. I have so much appreciation for my readers because everything is done quite respectably. But a lot of people, because of the title and because of the art, they thought it was going to be about plants because there were some plants on it. So it is about plants. There's a lot on herbal magic, but it's also natural magic. It's about working with animal spirits, about working with celestial spirits, and a lot. But so I took that criticism and I wrote the book about plants, and that one was a smash. So it's sold over 60,000 copies so far, which is like, for me, a staggering number. And I couldn't be happier. With this just profound privilege to get to share my practice through published works.
That is beautiful. So you sound like a very elemental witch along very similar to me.
I am down and dirty DIY girly. Yes.
That is good. So how did your path come along? Is this something you were born into, or when did you discover the pagan path, the witchcraft path?
That is an excellent question. I want to say that it was innate to who I was. And my path of discovery was greatly informed by my family of origin. So I was raised by a Catholic father and Jewish atheist mother. So I was brought up with this concept of conflicting worldviews, knowing that there isn't any one story to explain deity, creation, our relationship to deity, things like karma, reincarnation, like very, very different worldviews. And I did have a really strong affinity for the Virgin Mary. So I did attend Catholic school. And very, very often when my classmates were going out to recess, I was gathering wildflowers, stealing potpourri from my parents' home and bringing it to her feet. So I would spend my recess in the sanctuary. I didn't know then, but what I was doing was veneration and meditation. I just didn't have words for it. It just kind of came natural. I was absolutely obsessed with iconography. I wanted my own Virgin Mary statue. I saved up my babysitting money. I bought it and I took her home and I put her on a mirror, like a perfume tray. And I had this idea that she wanted to be crowned with flowers. So I went to a candle shop in the mall and got like a little wreath that a candle was supposed to go on and put it on her head and opened little bottles of perfume. So when I was about like 10 years old, I was starting to intuit ritual, like crowning the May Queen. And then that led to, like, in my kind of tween and early teen years, like wanting to add things like incense and crystals. And that's when I got in trouble. And my parents were like, take that down. I got into astronomy. I had a photograph, like an actual photograph of the alignment of the crescent moon and Venus. And when I was about 19, I met a friend, someone that I admired greatly. She was an artist. She was beautiful. She was fearless. And one day we were hanging out after school and she said to me, "Oh, I found religion." I said, "Ooh, what is it?" She said, "Oh, I've discovered Wicca." And I was like, "Oh, that's a funny word." And it just sounded like just so mysterious. I didn't know what it was. And then tragically, a few months later, she was killed in a car accident. And it thrust me into a state of just really intense mourning. She was my best friend, someone that was like a catalyst in my life. But I ended up participating in what was supposed to be her initiation that she was preparing for. And in that moment, I discovered that all of my tendencies had community and that my rituals had names and structure and that the goddess is alive and magic is afoot. So that's kind of how it started. It started through like connection and intuition.
I love that. And with the Virgin Mary, how you went right to the goddess, not knowing what was who, and that is beautiful.
Well, it made me have like questions because especially with the like pervasive like iconography in Catholicism can be very, very graphic, right? So I am maybe, 15, 20 feet from a crucified Christ,
Yeah.
and I'm in front of the Blessed Virgin, and she's standing on a snake, and it brought up questions for me. I asked Sister Rosamelia, why is the Blessed Mother standing on a snake? And she would say, oh, it's because she crushes evil. And I'm looking, I'm like, but the snake isn't crushed. It's fine. Like if the church wanted to crush the snake, it would be like guts splayed. Like they do not shy away from that. So I knew there was more to the story, and that brought me to the library. So I started immersing myself in like classical mythology, Greco-Roman myths. That led me to Egyptian mythology and Norse mythology. So I was looking at how this, the power of the snake that in the kind of Western tradition, we have a tendency to associate it with evil, but not in the pre-Christian traditions. It's associated with renewal and life. It cracks the cosmic egg. It's the Midgard serpent. Like it is powerful. It can be dark. It's transformational. The Ouroboros is a symbol that resonates very strongly with me as well. So I started thinking about these things that are like very, very common in nature, that are very, very much feared by people. And I feel that they are very, very emblematic of witchcraft, especially the kind of modern witchcraft I practice, which these symbols still hold power, they still hold meaning, and they still are important parts of our life.
Absolutely beautiful. Wow, that's great. You guys have to check out her book. So, you have a new one. What is your newest book out?
The newest book I call my favorite child. It is called The Modern Witchcraft Book of Crystal Magic. And it was the first time that I really got to write a book from a place of joy, where every other book was coming at some crisis point in my life, where the books were necessary, like to propel me forward. And finally, for the first time, like I didn't have a crisis going on. So the Crystal Magic book is one that I'm very, very excited about. It's brand new. It's been out barely a year, and I have very high hopes for it, hoping it does well.
That is good. So in your, we live in, 2024. It's crazy times. We know that, lots of reasons for it, not who knows what. How has, like, say if somebody's new, I have a lot of, new people just discovering the path who were listeners or watchers of the show. What would be something if somebody's new getting started, would like go get a book, start your practice? Do you have like regular rituals or just things that help you use our belief system or your belief system to help you along in our regular mundane world?
Absolutely. If you're just getting started, I would say attune to the moon.
Mm.
Observe her cycles and observe how they affect you. I did, I was very, very observant early on, where I was doing group ritual for like the new moon, the full moon, Sabbats, Esbats, equinoxes, solstices, cross quarter days in between. I really, really celebrated everything. As I've gotten older, and my interests have changed. I'm not really doing group work anymore, but I found solitary work so empowering. So I would start really, really simple. I would attune to the lunar cycle, figure out when the full moon is. You can even figure out the exact time and give yourself a little power boost there. And then start simple, clear a surface, a table, make it sacred, a cup of water, a stick of incense, a crystal, something to represent the elements, a candle, and then just sit and meditate. See what comes up for you, what kind of images come to mind. You can do like some breathing exercises, breathing deep, and it really helps kind of like reset your emotional state. And once you've reset your emotional state and you're grounded, then you can start using like your psychic awareness. So, what is it that we are experiencing that we cannot see? What are the things just beyond our reach? And using like the full moon to kind of center yourself with that mindset is an excellent way to get started.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I'm a moon girl myself. If I had any particular path or looking at astrology is great, too many numbers for me. Give me the moon. Now you have a big surprise, I hear, that I get to hear for the first time. Tell us.
Yes. So, and this is a fun story. So, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to enjoy this moment.
Yes.
So I live in New York City. I've been here a long time. I have been involved in a lot of different creative endeavors. So while I am thrilled about my books and so very proud of them, that's not the only thing I like to do. I am also a highly skilled metal worker. I am a musician, and in the spirit of just embracing all things creative, one of the events that I love to attend that I've been to like every year for the past 5 years is New York Comic Con. Typically, we have around maybe like 200,000 people attending. And last year, I was walking through all the exhibitor halls and I was thinking, I should be here. Like, I should be a bigger part of this. Like, I'm going as an attendee and I'm having a great time. It's a massive party, but I really need to like up level my game, and I think this is the place to do it. So I contacted my publicist and I said, "What do you think if I just did like like a book signing?" And she thought that that was a great idea and suggested maybe I should propose a panel. So I did. I reached out to some amazing voices that are working in modern witchcraft today. I purposefully chose people whose views were different from my own, whose experiences were different from my own. And I conceived it and I pitched it and I sold it. And I am happy to announce for the first time that Witches After Dark, a conversation in New Witch City, is going to be featured at New York Comic Con on Friday, October 18th at 6:30 at the Javits Center in New York City. So it was such a long shot. I had no idea, like, do they get thousands of proposals a year? Like, how am I gonna, like rise to the top of the pile and even be considered? So my goal was just to be considered, and I am absolutely over the moon that I'm going to get to be on a panel with some other amazing, amazing witches.
That is huge. Super congratulations. And my God, Comic Cons are like it over all the cons. I do a lot of paracons, paranormal conventions, and we do our witchy things. But Comic Con, you're going to have a whole other market by the thousands. It's just
maybe we'll see. But I will be there. And, my goal is to kind of like continue the work that I've been doing. I had talked a little bit earlier about how my book on herbs was kind of like my runaway success, really kind of surprising. I've been using herbs a long time, and it found a kind of unexpected home where it's been doing extraordinarily well in two places. One is the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Fifth Avenue, and the other is the medieval wing, the Met Cloisters, which is up in Inwood. So they have invited me for book signings. I want to say since 2023, maybe 16 times. Like, it's been absolutely insane. And so now with Comic-Con following on the success I've had at the Met, I feel that my new calling is to kind of like push witchcraft more into the mainstream.
Yeah, that's what I was not saying as well as you did about Comic-Con, a whole different other market. But now if you Cloisters and the Met, that's a whole other different.
It's wild. It's like all this like happening now. It's just a very, very thrilling time. So thank you for letting me break that story on your show. I've been like on pins and needles, just like dying to tell people.
That's October 18th?
Yes. Well, the con is I think the 17th through the 20th. And I will be there on other days. I will be doing book signings. I will be doing the meet and greets. But the panel is what I'm really excited about, because it's giving voice to working witches that are in a variety of creative fields. We have musicians. We have Jason Myers from Icarus Witch. He's a heavy metal bass player. We have Michael Herkus, the glam witch, is going to be on the panel. Starran Ravenhawk, who was the originator of like the Wiccan family temple here in New York City. So it's going to be quite a panel. It's going to be quite interesting, this Witches After Dark. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, and some of my favorite people going with Michael. He's a dear on the show all the time.
Amazing.
That is awesome.
Stellar human being.
Yeah.
Love Michael. Standing for Michael. Yes.
Huh. So you had mentioned music. You also music. You're also a musician, right? So tell us a little bit about that. I get to me, music, witchcraft are it's so just hand in hand.
It's really true, especially the kind of music that I'm involved in. So, like, rock and roll has always had this peculiar affinity for the occult, and I fit right in there, like, so seamlessly. I just came from All About Downtown Festival playing Jersey City, so I finished the gig like half an hour ago and came down here, and it's just been really, really great summer for festivals. Last week, I was with my band Saint Divine. We were up in Neversink doing an environmental benefit little festival there. A couple weeks before, I was with Ivan Julian that I sing backup for at Pravda Fest in Chicago. So it's just been like, Witches Fest, Hex Fest, Pravda Fest, River Fest, JC Downtown Fest. It's just been one festival after another, and it's all kind of like leading up to Comic Con, which is going to be like the biggest and brightest of them all. But I'm playing with like 3 bands currently. Psycho Positive, who we just broke down a little while ago. That's kind of like a psychedelic shoegaze kind of band. And then Saint Divine, which is a little more like punk Americana. And then I do also sing backup for Ivan Julian, who is a punk legend. He is absolutely amazing. So I've been really, really blessed that for whatever reason, I'm not really sure, I get sought out for collaborations. And I'm just very, very happy, very, very flattered, and very, very honored to be working with just some of the best musicians New York City has to offer, and New Jersey.
That
I've
is
been working,
amazing.
New York and New Jersey is my main stopping ground. So
That is amazing, and such different kinds of music and everything. That
yes, I am a genre jumper for sure.
also you're a gemologist, right?
I
You go
did graduate from GIA. Yes, that came about. This is funny. I'm going to get really woo now,
go.
but I have never really strongly felt that I have lived before. Like, I know some people that are really attached to past life identities, and I have never really felt that. But when I was about 19 or 20, when I was like, coming into my power, I had always loved arts. I had always loved crafts. I wasn't particularly good at it. But when I discovered metal, I found my medium, and I can't explain it. I am not really trained. I am mostly self-taught, but I am not afraid to say it. I'm a freakishly talented metalsmith. I have worked for some of the biggest design houses in the world. I have worked with Donna DeStefano. I have worked with David Yurman. I have worked with Tiffany. I have worked for Escada. I have worked for all kinds of like very, very high-end places. It really started from my interest in witchcraft because I loved crystals and rocks and I wanted to connect them. So the metalworking came from my desire to connect stones and crystals and gems. And I just had this aptitude for it. I just like instinctively understand process. I have a very additive mind. I'm good at construction. I'm fabulous with tools. And I think it must be like a past life carryover because literally no one taught me this. Literally no one taught me this. Like, I don't know why I know what I know. I just know how to do it, and I'm very, very good at it. So GIA came after I had been working like professionally for a very long time. I thought, wow, I'm really doing this at some high levels. I should probably get some credentials. So that's when, like, I think it was like 1995, I went back to school and went to GIA. And so it served me really, really well being a GIA alumni working on the crystal book because I had access to their archives. I had access to lectures. I could go look at specimens. And I recorded everything. One day I'm going to upload it onto my socials because I have so many just like, mouth-watering experiences with crystals. But the metal work, that's how I fed myself for a very, very long time. But it really started out with my desire to create amulets and talismans and ritual objects, which I still do on a very, very limited basis. That's why I love Hexfest. It's my chance to show off, and I'll bring like some of the altar craft and some of the magical tools.
You had beautiful things there. Again, I just love it. Here's this author, all these amazing books, and this, and So you're like a Renaissance woman. You're like, "Oh, I do a little bit of
Thank
everything."
you. I get that a lot, and I will step into that light because all of these are definitely pathways to rebirth.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is amazing. So if people are going, I want a crystal, but maybe again, maybe they don't know much about crystals. You can
Mm.
read, read your book, which
Yes.
again, I would highly recommend now that I don't know it, but you know this stuff. How do you suggest somebody goes about and picking the crystals that they want?
Okay. How you pick the crystal that you want starts with what is appealing to you. This is a basic tenet of the law of sympathy, which is a form of magic. Sympathetic magic you will see coming up again and again and again. It's in homeopathy, like attracts like. And so if something is engaging to you, if something is alluring to you, if something is catching your eye, it is connecting with a part of your brain. It is unlocking some kind of subconscious connection. That is what you want to explore. So, this might sound very, very basic. It is, but it runs very, very deep. Start with what calls to you. What do you think is pretty? What is attracting your eye? That is the tool that is going to help you attract what you want because you've already entered into a relationship. Witchcraft is a lot about imbuing objects with energy, right? In the church, that's a big no-no. We do not enchant objects in witchcraft. Oh, yes, we absolutely do. So start with something that's enchanting to you. It
Okay,
already has that power, right?
where we're drawn to, trust it, trust it. Don't overthink it. I love.
Right.
Okay. Oh my God. I have so many thousand questions. We're just going to have you back on.
I
But
would love that. That would be
if
just
every-
fun.
if everybody is intrigued with you now, tell me where they can find you, anything that you're doing, website, social media, where they can
Oh,
get your books.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, I spend an embarrassing amount of time on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. So you can find me at Transistor, but it's trance, like Trance, and sister, because, like, you know, we're witches, we're sisters. Transistor, you can find me on Instagram. A little less so, I'm also on Facebook on my name, Judy Ann Nock. And then for music, every band has its own website. You can go to saintdivineband.com. You can go to psychopositive.com, and it's all there, the music, the magic, the fun, and the power. It's just waiting for you. Or you can come to Comic Con, but I think it's sold out. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Isn't that
know.
awesome? It's sold out. Oh,
I know. I can't even promote it. I'm just like bragging now. It's awful. I
no,
can't
it's
even
not
say
awful.
it's
It's
good.
exciting. I think
It's a
that's
good problem to have. I'll
so.
accept.
You guys look her up, check out her
Thank
books,
you.
check out her music, check out her jewelry, her everything out there. It's truly an honor to have you on. You do our profession proud, my friend. The magic, again, I saw that with your energy, your light, your confidence, your everything when we first met. So you guys check out Judy Ann Nock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last words for any moments you want to give everybody before we take off?
Absolutely. I just want to say, keep watching Patti Negri. She is amazing. She is absolutely enchanting. I was 100% gagged when she gave me her card and was the absolute first person that I followed up with after Hex Fest. I was just a little starstruck, and I'm not afraid to say it. So
You are too
thank
well.
you for everything that you do.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
I'm equally starstruck with you because I don't have the artsy craftsy, all that. Yeah, well, this is beautiful. So you guys check her out, Judy Ann Nock. Like her, follow her, listen to her music, buy her books, and remember, magic's everywhere. So thank you, Judy Ann.
Thank you.